Welcome back to the TWSN YouTube channel. We're back again with some of the offseason breakdown, some offseason rankings. Just in general, we're going to be focusing on the NFC South today. A very, very top-heavy division here. You know, you got the Bucs and the Saints out top, the Falcons and the Panthers at the bottom. Very different teams here. Who do you want to start off with, though, Dash?
I think let's start at the bottom, work our way up again. And I think for me, the bottom team is going to be the Panthers this year. I think that it's not too hot of a take. I mean, the Falcons aren't a ton better, but the Panthers, I mean, look, you have a mess in the quarterback room. You stuck with Sam Darnold. Okay, sure, you drafted Matt Corral, but you didn't draft him at a point in time when it's clear that he's going to become your starting quarterback, right? You draft a guy like that in the first round if you want him to be your starter, but they didn't. So I think that they're still rolling with Sam Darnold. I don't love that for them. I think it's going to be almost a waste of a year of Christian McCaffrey and DJ Moore's career. Don't like that for them. But I mean, look, they got Ike Ekwonu. Love him. He's going to be a cornerstone left tackle for them for years to come. And I think they did get better on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, they brought in Matt Ioannidis. Him and Derek Brown is going to be a dope combo up the middle. And I mean, their defense isn't complete, but it has exciting spots with Brian Burns, Dante Jackson, Jeremy Chin. I mean, they brought in Xavier Woods. So we'll see what happens. But I do think ultimately it comes down to the mess at quarterback and how that's just not gonna pan out for him well.
Yeah, I think if I was ranking them, I think I might have them above the Falcons, but it's very close. It's not like anything to really disagree with too hard. But I like the Panthers defense more. I mean, you just named all the studs for them, and they're very good, and they're very young on defensive end. The glaring issue, obviously, the quarterback position. And it's such an issue. I don't know. I mean, maybe they still go out and add a Baker or Jimmy G, but then again, like, I don't know what the point of that really is. Like, I mean, it's going to make you better. Like, yeah, if they add either of those guys, I think they'd pretty easily finish third, but they're not going to finish second. You know, they're not going to really push for a playoff spot. So I think they'd probably be better just kind of even if they just let Matt Corral go out there and do his thing, Sam Darnold do his thing, or let all of them do their thing and just see who does what, see what you got. But the interesting part with the Panthers is just the coaching staff is obviously on the hot seat. So they want to win games. Like, Matt Rule isn't going to go out here and just like be tanking for a top pick because he's coaching for his job. So I think this is kind of one of the real, not first times, but first times in a while where we've seen like a coach really not line up with where the roster is, and he's really fighting for his job, but the roster is just not there, and the quarterback position is not there. So I just don't know a way where Matt Rule comes out of this with his job, unless somehow Sam Darnold or Matt Corral like play amazing and he somehow just made them their franchise quarterback. But that sentence alone, like obviously you saw Dash's reaction, isn't very likely. So it's not the brightest days in Carolina. I really like all the future pieces they have, but again, very not fun year for the Panthers.
No, not at all. And I mean, I think that, yeah, like you said, they're right up there with the Falcons, or right down there with the Falcons. I think is probably a better way to say it. But I mean, for the Falcons, I mean, look, you have another maybe quarterback battle. I mean, I think they've made it clear Mariota is going to be the day one starter, but Desmond Ritter's solid, and so I think that'll be interesting. I could see Ritter taking over later in the season, depending on how the win losses are going, and I don't expect him to win a ton. But I do like their wide receiver room a little bit, right? So they're very young and unproven. I mean, you got Drake London leading the charge, Auden Tate heading over from the Bengals. I mean, we'll see how that goes.
Recently traded for Bryan Edwards too.
They just traded for Bryan Edwards as well. So they're just loading up on guys who are 6'5", which is weird. We'll see what happens with that. I'm not sure. I'm not sold on the giant receiver like trend with that team. Especially when you have a guy like Kyle Pitts, who already is that jump ball receiver, just like at tight end. So we'll see what happens. Their offensive line has holes, and I mean, their defensive line is pretty much just Grady Jarrett. So we'll see. I mean, I really do like the duo at middle linebacker for them with Deion Jones and Rashaan Evans. I think that's going to be one of the better combos in the league. Mm-hmm. And I think the best part of the Falcons team, just in general, is the cornerback position. I mean, look, you got Casey Hayward and AJ Terrell. That's probably the best 1-2 punch at corner in the NFL. AJ Terrell coming off of an absolutely fantastic season, and Casey Hayward's a very solid bet. So we'll see what's going to be able to happen. I think that they're really I think they might be able to pose a problem for the Buccaneers, which sounds weird, but obviously the Bucs are a much better team, but it looks like they're kind of reorganizing their team to be able to win their division, and that's to stop the big plays at receiver that you face when you're going up against the Bucs and the Saints. So yeah, I do really like what they did this offseason. I think they're taking steps to become a better team, but again, we'll see. They're still a year or two away. So yeah. I like their defense, especially at corner, which is why I have them above the Panthers, but they're really just 3-4 interchangeable.
Yeah, definitely interchangeable. Nobody's going to really be insulted if you flip one or the other. But I mean, the Falcons are an interesting spot. They're not going to be too good this year, but they have some obvious bright spots, and they deserve to be talked about. Drake London, Kyle Pitts is going to be a really good duo. And then you add in Bryan Edwards. He hasn't really got too much of an opportunity in Vegas. Maybe it's because he's not very good, or maybe just because he really hasn't got his chance. But we're going to find out in Atlanta. That's for sure. Auden Tate, same kind of thing. He flashes all the time for the Bengals, but he never gets that consistent opportunity. And then the running back room, you have Cordell Patterson, that kind of unique guy. They signed a veteran in Damian Williams, and they also drafted Tyler Algier. They got a lot. They got a lot going on. They got a decent blend of veterans and old guys. And the thing that I like about it is everywhere you kind of see they have a good young guy, they also kind of have a good vet. Outside of the receiver position, I guess you could say, because there's no real vet there, but Kyle Pitts is kind of there. And like you said, all the receivers are 6'4", 6'5", so they're all just going to look at Kyle Pitts and do what he does. But still, you drafted Desmond Ridder. I think Marcus Mariota is a perfect guy for him to learn from. They're pretty similar in play styles. AJ Terrell and Casey Hayward. There's a lot. You can kind of really tell they're building for the future, but they're doing it in a right way by bringing in some vets to kind of help these young guys pan out. It's not going to be the Falcons' year, that's for sure. Everybody knows that. A lot of people think it's one of the worst teams in the NFL. I'm not going to disagree with you, but I am pretty confident in Atlanta's future. Just it's not here yet, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm pretty excited for what it is. I think Drake London's going to be fantastic. Kyle Pitts is going to be fantastic. I like Desmond Ridder a lot. Much better days ahead. Just sit out this year. That's it.
Yeah, just like Calvin Ridley, just sit out this year.
I forgot all about him.
But yeah, if they had him, it'd be a much different story too. So if he comes back as a part of the Falcons team, then their future looks a lot brighter too.
It's true.
But yeah, so moving on to the top heavy part of the division, the good teams. We got the Saints and the Bucs. For me, I still think the Bucs are going to be the number one team, so I'll talk about the Saints right now. And I think the biggest question mark in the Saints organization is, will Drew Brees come back? Is he gonna come back? I mean, he flashed that he might do that just recently on Twitter, I believe he did. And I mean, with Drew Brees potentially coming back, you certainly have question marks at the quarterback position. I know you re-signed Jameis Winston, so you have Jameis Winston there, but with Drew Brees potentially coming back, that could be messy. You got Alvin Kamara, you got Michael Thomas, you got Chris Olave, Jarvis Landry, you got weapons. So whoever the quarterback is, they're going to have weapons. They're going to have a good O-line. But, I mean, yeah, their defense is very good as well. I think that they have one of the more complete defenses. So they'll certainly make the playoffs regardless of if they win the division or not, as long as whoever they have at quarterback stays healthy. So, yeah, I mean, the Saints are going to be a really good team. And I just don't think that they're quite good enough and complete enough to take the top spot from the Bucs.
Yeah, I like the Saints team. I like a lot of the moves they've made recently, signing Jarvis Landry, signing Tyrann Mathieu, and it's just the moves that make sense. I don't think safety is the biggest need. I don't think receiver was the most biggest need after drafting Chris Olave. Just in general, they made good moves to make their football team better, and that's what it's all about. The biggest question mark for me that I don't think too many people are talking about, I don't know, there's been a lot of other instances that have kind of overlapped it, but Alvin Kamara did get in a little bit of trouble, not too long ago. And we haven't heard anything about it. Maybe it's because it's going to lead to nothing. Maybe he's suspended a game or two, but he could miss a few games and that could be pretty detrimental to this team because the running back room behind him, Ingram, Tony James or Jones, whatever his name is, and a couple other rookies. It's just in general, it's not the best room, but I think the team is built to where they can be fine without him. Obviously, if you're coming down the stretch, you want him to be there, and more than likely he's going to be down the stretch. Maybe he misses time early in the year, if he misses time at all. The Saints team is really, really, really complete. like you said, their defense is very complete. Their offense is the same. They have some of the star power, not so much like the other league, some of the teams around the league, but they have everything you need. Like they have everything you want. If you're like just having a checklist, they have, 3 decent receivers. They have an okay tight end. They have a pretty good offensive line. They have a good running back. They have good running back depth. They have a quarterback who's corners. They have a good pass rush. They have good linebackers, and they have a pretty good safety duo. Like they have everything you need, but it's just going to come down to if the Saints can just win football games, and I think they can. And they're just not better than the Bucs, which is okay. But I think this team can be pretty good, and I think they're being slept on a little bit just because they're in the Bucs division, which is rightful and fair. But I do think the Saints team is very good, but I don't think they're better than the Bucs still.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, what can we really say for the Bucs? It's the same team. Brady and the boys are back at it. I mean, we don't know if Gronk is coming back yet. He probably will. But I mean, even if he doesn't,
That's
you got solid pieces all around. Mike Evans, you got Chris Godwin, you got a good offensive line. You brought in Shaq Mason. Defensively, you got one of the best nose tackles in the league, Vita Vea. You got edge threats, Shaq Barrett. You got guys up the middle. There's really no hole on this team. They're a complete roster. They're ready to make another push for the Super Bowl. And I mean, Brady still has that fire, and that's always scary. So I mean, with a top tier offense, top tier defense, led by probably the best to ever do it. I mean, what can you say against this team?
Yeah, and the price they got him was ridiculous. They haven't re-signed Ndamukong Suh yet, but they added Logan Hall. They added some good corners. They had some good corner depth in the draft, which we all saw kind of happen to their secondary last year. They lost Ronald Jones. If you think that's a big loss, they added Rashad White in the draft. Now, obviously, Antonio Brown's not going to be here, but they signed Russell Gage, who had a very good year in Atlanta. One of my, a pretty good signing that kind of went under the radar a little bit because he's still the wide receiver 3, but you like it or not, Russell Gage is going to be on the field a lot. Obviously, you want Gronk to come back. If he doesn't, you still have Cameron Brate. You drafted Cade Otton. They have everything they need. They have Tom Brady, great offensive line, great weapons, great defense. They're one of the best teams in the NFL. They're at the top of this list for a reason. There's not much really else to say about them that you don't already know. And that's how you know you're good, when everybody kind of knows why you're good. I'm expecting another pretty dominant year from the Bucs, and I expect them to finish on top of this division pretty easily. And hopefully, probably Brady's last year with the whole TV deal. You never really know, but
he could be the new Brett Favre, right? We could be talking every offseason for the next 5 about, is he going to retire? Is he going to come back? Who knows? Only him.
But in general, that's gonna wrap up today's video. We're gonna be touching on all of the divisions. So if we haven't hit yours yet, just comment down below and we'll make sure we get to it. But wrap things up. Make sure you follow along here on the Pederson YouTube, social medias, all of it. We have so much draft content, so much sports content in general. I promise you do not want to miss out. But we look forward to seeing you guys again on the Pederson YouTube channel soon.